Hello, everyone. Welcome to the IJDDC podcast. And today we have a really special one because not only is she the editor, but also the national president of DIPSI. And it's really going to be a very interesting discussion with none other than Dr. Shalini Jaggi. So just welcome, Shalini.
Hi, thank you so much.
So, just to introduce you formally, because not only are you known for many years working and focused on diabetes and women, and particularly with respect to pregnancy and diabetes, I think definitely we should formally introduce you because we are really proud to have you here on the IJDDC platform.
Thank you.
So, Dr. Shalini Jaggi is a consultant and director of Life Care Diabetes Center from the city of New Delhi. Not only a fellow of Royal College of Physicians of London, Edinburgh, and Glasgow, but also of the American College of Endocrinology, US. She is currently the national president and governing council member of the Diabetes in Pregnancy Study Group India, chairman of the RSSDI Delhi chapter, as well as serving Asia Pacific Advisory Board member for the American College of Endocrinologists, ACE, and chair of Diabetes and Mental Health Interest Group Diabetes India. She has many other positions, important positions held, and also many coveted not only orations, awards, and publications. And she is a dynamic editor, associate editor of IJDDC as well. With this warm welcome, let me just tell you what we want to discuss with her today and what we want to really pick her brains on. So, this last published edition of IJDDC, or the International Journal of Diabetes in Developing Countries, which is the official journal of RSSDI, our coveted association, there is an original article on early gestational diabetes in Asian Indian women, insights from a dual center using first trimester DIPSI screening. It sounds very complicated, and we are just going to unravel the mystery with Dr. Shalini. So, Dr. Shalini, tell us a little bit about the burgeoning problem of gestational diabetes in India and why is it so?
So, thank you so much, Dr. Purvi, for having me here. And when it comes to the article that we just published on early GDM, because we've always been talking about GDM, and conventionally we all said that it occurs at 24 to 28 weeks of pregnancy. But I think now it is very clearly established that with the increasing burden of diabetes, obesity, pre-diabetes that we see, there are a lot of women who are actually either pre-diabetic or sometimes frankly diabetic, but they've never been screened. So when they become pregnant, and if you do an early screening, not only are you able to pick those women up, because we all understand that uncontrolled diabetes in the beginning of pregnancy can be very detrimental. Congenital anomalies, all those things come in if there is uncontrolled diabetes in early trimester when organogenesis is happening. So now there's this entity called early GDM, which is internationally, we say less than 20 weeks. If you are able to diagnose GDM, that is also when the trajectory of the NCDs can actually be managed, because you need to control hyperglycemia all through pregnancy. So, what we did actually was there were a lot of studies internationally on less than 20 weeks in terms of picking up women where you were able to pick up GDM so early in pregnancy. And the DIPSI guidelines very clearly tell you that you need to screen at the first point in contact when the woman comes to you with
I was actually just about to ask you that in India, so I'm very intrigued by all the papers from the West, but also in India, I think that problem, as we would intuitively think, would have been eliminated because we are following the DIPSI guidelines, which clearly state that, screen them at the first contact that you have. And I think that first contact, the timing of gestation is also improving across India, even in the rural areas. And of course, you will be able to tell us more about that. Uh, wouldn't Were we not already in a good position to catch them early?
Yes, definitely. Because now, very clearly, what we are doing and advocating is the moment a woman gets pregnant and comes to the obstetrician, that is exactly the point where you need to do the first screening. You're not supposed to wait for, the second trimester or the third trimester to come in to screen for gestational diabetes. So, what we've actually done, this is basically a dual center study. Dr. Rajiv Chawla and my center, two centers in Delhi, tertiary care centers. What we did was every woman, the moment she came to the obstetrician in the beginning of pregnancy, average gestational age, if you will see in our paper, is about 8.4 weeks. So that's the time when we did a DIPSI screening to just rule out diabetes in this woman. And out of the 750 women who were screened through the DIPSI method, we were able to pick up almost 93 women, which is about 12.2%. So these were women who did not have overt diabetes. They were non-diabetic, not even pre-diabetes as such. Because, if we were able to pick up the screen positive women, next day we followed them up with a fasting as well as an HbA1c just to rule out any overt diabetes or pre-diabetes. And if you've seen the study, the average HbA1c in women who turned out positive for EGDM by the DIPSI criteria, you will see that the HbA1c was 5.5% compared to the non-EGDMs where it was 5.3%. So clearly these are women who were not even pre-diabetic or diabetic, but right in the beginning of pregnancy, we are able to pick up dysglycemia at this point. So that's a very turning point and an interesting observation. And that is why I think we need larger studies on a larger scale to actually find out this, this burden of early GDM in our Indian women.
I think that's a fantastic effort because not just from the publication point of view, but I think from the public health point of view also, it's very important because here we are thinking of only the risk factors, and of course, we do screen universally, which is a great asset. But again, if we had to enrich that population, you would still miss some of these important individuals who we could have, intervened early on. So, tell us about the material, I mean, the methods and materials as exactly how did you, I understand what your aim was, but how did you go about planning and executing the study?
So, like I said, we have our obstetrician colleagues who collaborate with us because obviously a woman who gets pregnant and is not diabetic will not come to a diabetes center straight away. So, we have our, in our hospitals, in our affiliated centers, we have our obstetricians where we actually requested them to screen every woman who would come to them in early pregnancy over a 1 year period. So, what we did was all these 750 women who were screened with the DIPSI test. It was non-fasting, 75-gram glucose in a glass of water, 300 ml of water, which they were given in the regular OPD waiting area when they reported with a positive UPT. So in the beginning of pregnancy, so average was about 8.4, 8.5 weeks. That's the average gestational age. So out of the 750 women who underwent this DIPSI test in the beginning of pregnancy, 93 actually had their 2R value more than 140, which is diagnostic for GDM. So average, we were able to pick up at about 146. That was the level of plasma glucose 2R post glucose that we were able to pick up. So these women were, labeled as EGDM. And just to rule out diabetes, because obviously history, we did ask them if they had pre-diabetes or had they been tested earlier. So once they turned positive, next day we asked them to go for a fasting as well as an HbA1c just to be very sure that we're not missing out on any overt diabetes or pre-diabetes here. So like I said, the HbA1c turned out to be about 5.5% in the EGDM group compared to 5.3% in the non-EGDM group.
So,
And
let me just intervene and ask you, did these women have previous history of GDM, or they were not all index pregnancies, right?
no, they were not index pregnancies. So we did not really sort out whether they were primies or they were multiparas. So it was just that screening at the first time. And when you go back to the history, what we discovered was women who had a history of a positive family history of diabetes. Almost, I think 51% of them had a positive, either of the parents already had diabetes. increasing age, maternal age. These are typical risk factors for GDM, you know. The
Absolutely.
BMI of these women was on the higher side, about 29 was the BMI on an average. So the
Which
age
anyway
that we
for
were,
the
yes.
Indian population would be considered obese.
Yes, exactly. So almost like I said, 51% had a family history of diabetes, which was positive, and the previous GDM in the multiparas was almost 24%. So if you had GDM in one pregnancy, in your index pregnancy, you know, the next pregnancy, the risk of GDM comes back. So truly 24% of them already had a previous history of GDM. About 18% had PCOS, and then bad OBS history, again, a very important risk factor. So there were about 22% of the women who did report either a spontaneous abortion in the earlier pregnancy or any of those, risk factors. So clearly these four risk factors we were able to pick up and correlate that these were the women where early GDM was diagnosed even at as early as 8 weeks. And this becomes very significant because, like I told you, you need to manage these women to prevent the congenital anomalies, as well as, we talk about intergenerational transfer of NCDs. So the fetal priming to hyperglycemia. So I think this becomes very significant if you look at the burden of GDM in India. And these are the women who have a high risk of eventually developing diabetes in the future. So it's both the generations at risk. So I think early screening becomes all the more important here.
I think this is the clinching point. This is probably the sole reason why we should all undertake this. It's really important because the intergenerational transfer of the risk of NCDs plus their own life course risk of developing diabetes. I think these are two very very important aspects which we tend to miss when we are looking at GDM and traditional one that too. So that's great. I think, is there anything else on the results front that you would like to share?
We are following up these women, and very soon we'll be publishing data on the maternal and fetal outcomes. So, what we're actually doing in another paper that is about to get submitted very soon will be follow up these women and see how the trajectory changes for women who picked up early. What are their maternal and fetal outcomes versus women who develop GDM later on in pregnancy? So I think this is again food for another publication and maybe another discussion once we publish this data. But the whole idea behind just publishing this data was to actually sensitize people and tell them why early screening is so important, especially in a country like India. Because we say Southeast Asians have an 11-fold increased risk of developing GDM in pregnancy compared to Caucasians. So, compared to the Western guidelines, where usually we say women who have no risk should be screened at 24 to 28 weeks, women at high risk, the ADA guidelines tell you should be screened as early as first pregnancy or at least at 15 weeks. But
Correct.
here we have data at 8.4 weeks where you are able to pick up early GDM. So I think it becomes all the more pertinent that in an ethnicity like ours, every pregnant woman at the beginning of pregnancy, right in the beginning when she discovers she's pregnant, should definitely be screened for GDM in the first trimester. And if that is negative, follow up with another screening in the second trimester. And in case that is also negative, rescreen her in the third trimester. Because we are very highly predisposed to GDM, and therefore it's important that every trimester you need to screen so that you can pick up dysglycemia there and then to kind of alter the trajectory of NCDs and to have better maternal and neonatal outcomes.
I couldn't agree more with you. Also, I think it would be worthwhile because this is, I think, the most initial attempt across the country. I also think it makes a lot of sense to look at other factors like the nutritional status, even though the BMI was high of these patients, clearly telling us there was a risk. We would have completely missed them if they, were just allowed to, uh, go through pregnancy without this testing on time. Also, I feel that such it makes sense to counsel them early on with respect to medical nutrition therapy. I don't think it should be only reserved for those who come up with glucose intolerance. I think it's something that's important for all. And that's a very clear message that your paper is giving us. Any particular strengths and limitations that you would like to highlight from this paper? And I must congratulate you that you are already following up with these women, and we are looking forward to the next publication as well.
Of course, the strengths, like I said clearly, this is a dual center design. So, the kind of patients walking into my center versus another center would be different. The regional geographies are a little different. Plus, it captures the entire socio-economic strata, of course, but I would say that usually what we see is the middle class and the upper middle class kind of patients. So, probably, that's why I said the need for a multi-centric study all across the country with different regional divides, with different geographical divides, socio-economic strata is more important. Of course, the sample size is pretty good. 750 women were screened, out of which 93 we were able to pick up, so that's another strength. And of course, this was to actually tell you that even if you do a simple economical test like a DIPSI test, you need
Correct.
not call every woman fasting and do the 3 glucose samples. So you are able to pick up early GDM. So I think we beyond the discussion where we talk about the validity of doing a DIPSI versus all the other tests that are possible. Of course, limitation I said is cross-sectional design. So this was not really a randomized control trial. So of course, it is filled with its own this thing. We did not talk about the maternal and neonatal outcomes, which I told you will be followed up in another subsequent study. And of course, we did not have a regression modeling with each of these risk factors to establish independent predictors for GDM. So I think these are the limitations we are trying to, address in our subsequent publication. But like I said, my take home is every pregnant woman needs to be screened at the first point in pregnancy so that you can actually intervene right in the beginning to reduce the load of maternal and fetal adverse outcomes and to improve the NCD trajectory in our country. So I think this is just the beginning. This is our Indian data, the first, I think, from North India as well as India, I think. And eventually, I think this again sets the stage for, like I said, multi-centric, more and more data from our country to actually understand the burden of not only GDM but eGDM.
I totally agree with you. And I think I have to congratulate this excellent effort. And of course, the publication with you and the entire team of authors on this. And that also has our editor-in-chief, Dr. Rajiv Chawla, sir. So I think it's a great first look at early GDM in India. And with that, I think there was a very, very important clinical implication discussed. And I hope our audience will log into the RSSDI members area and access International Journal of Diabetes in Developing Countries, because we have not just this, but very, very important publications that are relevant to our practice in India. So with that, I thank you very much for your time, effort, and congratulate you once again on this wonderful publication. Many more to come.
Thank you so much, Dr. Purvi, and thank you, IJDDC, for this opportunity. It's a pleasure and an honor to be part of this podcast today.
Thank you again, and a big thank you to Ms. Rashi and Shaurya and the entire IT team as well. They help us facilitate this so well. And without any doubt, it's Dr. Rajiv Chawla, sir, who's the force behind all these and the journal itself. So thank you again.
Thank you so much.